What is giving President William Ruto so much energy to allow some of the things that are happening right now in this country to happen? The answer is simple. The numbers that is controlling right now in the National Assembly. Just after the elections, it was clear that Azimio had more numbers both in the National Assembly. Actually, the Senate, they were defeated by 1, I think. So, later on, William Ruto decided to have all other MPs that were not from the side of ODM and the Jubilee to join government, and they joined UDA. They subscribed to UDA agendas, and most of them, actually even some of them from Jubilee, literally joined government and became now a huge party. They formed huge numbers. UDA formed huge numbers through some coalitions, which resulted to them having the numbers in the National Assembly, hence having the Speaker and the Majority Leader. Now, William Ruto has been controlling that majority ever since. But there is a significant number of the ODM and Jubilee members which strongly used to challenge William Ruto's push for some of the policies and some of the agendas right now as we speak. The joining of Raila Odinga in government, together with his ODM MPs and lieutenants, has given William Ruto the courage to think of anything that can be changed within the constitution, and actually to ensure at least he has also gotten comfort to his level. Checking on the policies that have been there, passed by the government, the current government, Kenya Kwanza government, some of them have been controversial, but because of the numbers they have been going through. There are some of them that require a certain threshold that is very high in the National Assembly, one of them being impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. The ODM members ensured that Rigathi Gachagua has successfully been impeached from the National Assembly. Now, the Senate has brought on another thing through Richard Gay, that is extension of the term limit of the president from 5 years to 7 years. Then the big question that I have tonight is this: where is the Raila Odinga who fought for this constitution and asked Kenyans and actually agreed that Kenyans were going to have 5 years? Where is the Raila Odinga who knew that there are more other priorities for Kenya and noted the extension of the term limits? Where is the Raila Odinga whom we knew that he could not allow some of these things to happen under his watch? Right now, we are having members of parliament discussing the issue of extension of term limits, yet Kenyans are dying in hospitals. Where is Raila Odinga? Where did we take those patriots who are in this country who are very strong who are very strong politicians? Now, the numbers that Raila Odinga gave William Ruto are the ones that are giving him the courage to allow some of these motions to be tabled in the National Assembly, actually even to allow impeachment motions to be carried off. That means very well, if Raila Odinga decides that this is not going to work, probably it is not going to work. But is Raila captured by Ruto, or Raila has captured Ruto? Is it the interest of Raila Odinga as well to have the term limits extended? Have they had the discussions at their level as brothers on what does this mean to this country? Or we were not wrong by rejecting Raila Odinga and electing William Ruto? Because so far it looks like they're all the same. They think the same, they do the same things. I want to be worried as far as the tabling of the motion in parliament is concerned. Why am I getting worried? We had the Adani deal, but when it came to the parliament, actually whenever it was asked, questions were asked about it, Raila Odinga's men, with those dockets like Mbadi, defended it strongly. To make matters more worse, Raila Odinga himself came out and defended Adani immensely. Now, since then, Adani has taken over JKI. We are having them now going, actually they have taken over Ketraco, so we don't know what other things they are going to take care of in this country. But the fact remains that the involvement in the government and the government structure is evident. And now, to make matters more worse is that Raila Odinga, the person who expected who should be championing against some of these things that are being experienced in this country, is now supporting some of the government policies that are not in line with the constitution, or even they are not in line with the well-being of the Kenyans. So as we speak right now, it won't be a surprise for me when the members belonging to Raila Odinga's party start discussing and supporting the issue to do with the extension of the term limits. Now, it has been just 2 years. We've seen so many drastic measures being taken by the government, and they have left the common mwananchi suffering. Because as a country, we feel like we've been neglected by the leadership, and they only take into account what only benefits them. Now they've come with huge proposals like extension of the term limits, something that we know very well to not have a positive impact to the common man, but just strengthen these other politicians through money, and that through money that they are going to get or generate as they remain in power for long. So therefore, what is the role of Raila in this? Why should we experience or have these conversations where we have a handshake or a coalition government where Raila is part of it? Why should this happen? Why should we have the priorities of Kenyans put aside and then have the priorities of leaders brought forward? Why do we have such kind of a thing happening under Raila Amolo Odinga's watch? The reason as to why I'm stressing Raila Amolo Odinga, it is because he's the first person to take us to the streets on poor governance. He's among the people who championed for the 2020 constitution. He's among the people who right now Kenyans, most of the Kenyans, just up to recently, trusted that he could at least rescue this country from poor leadership. Why now bring on the issue to do with extension of the term limits, yet it is not the priority of Kenyans? Where did we take the leaders who talk about the people-centered issues? Now it is political or leaders-centered issues that are being brought on board. Why do we have such kind of a disconnection between the elites, the ruling class, and the people in Kenya, and the common Kenyan citizens? So therefore, it baffles me when I realize that this is happening under Raila Amolo Odinga's watch. It's my sincere plea that there is no extension of the term limits that is going to happen under Raila Amolo Odinga's watch. It is my sincere feeling that that is not going to happen at all, because it is not the priority. It is not the problem we have in this country. We have major problems we experience in the country, one of them being corruption, and one being actually nepotism and tribalism. Very huge issues that we need them discussed by our leaders, and maybe formulas brought on board on how to deal with them. Right now as we speak, Cherargei is one of the people who have been speaking eloquently about corruption, particularly in the docket of transport where Murkomen was. He even called him a failure. This is one person expected that he could have drafted a very huge and smart policy that is going to help our country to manage corruption. But now, the whole country is now vulnerable to corruption. Anybody can be corrupt at any time and do anything with anybody. This is not the life that we expected from William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga's association. Everyone expected a better and smooth run in Kenya. But now, we are having impeachment motions being brought on board. Then now we have the extension of the term limits, things that are unacceptable to the common mwananchi and not necessary at all. Because I'm strongly aware that if this country could have avoided things like corruption, nepotism, tribalism, probably we could be making the best and the most aggressive and growing economy in the entire world, not just in Africa. But now, because of the selfishness of most of the leaders we have in the country, they have shifted interest to things that benefit them, including the extension of the term limits and impeachment of some leaders like Gachagua from office. That is my video there and there. Can let me see your take on how you think about the impeachment, about the extension of the term limits for the president and other politicians in this country.